Look, they are tripping on your girl. Oh, it's serious, you guys. It's serious. It's serious. They want us in the place they want us. Oh no. I don't know what's going on. It says I'm live, but I don't know if I am or not. Mademoiselle, that's crazy. They don't censor violence, racism, evil, pow pows, or nothing like that. Third time's a charm, and so is a third party. How about that? How about that algorithm? And I didn't even say anything like I said in the first one, but I do keep alluding to. No, I didn't even go into the thing again. Who's doing this to me? Who's doing this to me? I'm looking to see, do I have any emails from them warning me that I messed up? Here, let me see. Let me go to my emails and see, do I have any emails saying, bitch, you're talking a little too much today, darling. Nope, I don't have any notifications from YouTube about anything. So they're just, no, nothing. Checking my email now, searching for YouTube. Nope, it's just the alert that I'll be live talking about politics. Dr. Jill Stein and Dr. Butch Ware got dissed at the Breakfast Club by Angela Rye. Okay, that's the only thing that I have from them. It's not saying that I'm doing anything wrong, but you guys were here for it. When they shut me off twice so far, you guys, this is serious. They must be making more gains than we know about. And I already told y'all who's doing this. Look up. You want me to show you? I'm going to show you. That'll really get me shut off. But look, you guys have to know why this is happening. I wonder if it's considered anti something to be saying what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm just trying to get the truth out here and share this information. Again, now we have to start from the scratch. No, let's go to this scratch. Have to do the copyright disclaimer per video. So let's hurry up and do that. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay, before they cut me off this time, let me hurry up and get off that. This is, we were saying that it was kind of like a DV situation that we're in with this duopoly, and that they be making promises like a narcissistic, abusive ex, talking about, ooh, I'll change this time. I'll change this time. Just let me back in the house. Are in the house talking about, just let me back in the house and everything will be different. That you don't feel like that's what's happening a little bit? This is probably why I get censored, because my analogies be spot on. Okay. You don't think it's anything like it? You don't think that's how Martell got back in the house? By promising while he's in the house to be better when she lets him back in the house? Narcissistic, abusive exes treat you this way. So I'm getting love bombed right now by the Green Party. And they don't have an abusive track record. Nope, sure don't. I was very pro Marianne Williamson, but her number for reparations was real low. It was very low, but at least she was running within the duopoly. And I was like, well, maybe she can change it from inside there. But now that she already freaking endorsed Kamala Harris before Kamala Harris even got her issues up, I'm like, okay, Marianne, you, damn, you really disappointed me with that. That was very disappointing. I thought she would have very taken the high moral ground and never caved into that stuff. But now the people are letting her on the talk shows, no problem. Anyway, so let's get into this interview before they cut me off again. Where is it? I had it up a second ago. And of course, all these reboots that I've been having to do. You see that? Jill Surges. You see, I'm not really subscribed. No, you guys aren't seeing anything actually because it's not being shared. I'm not sure if that shouldn't be the problem. I'm not getting any warnings about this browser is making it to share. We're going over here. And again, I already did the top copyright disclaimer. And I already showed you guys.
Bankers in APAC and Wall Street.
I already showed you guys what Jill Stein and Butch Ware thought it was going to be like when they got there. And this is what actually happened. Now, I don't know that I should speed it up much, but I will be talking with it. Can you guys see me? Did they kick me off yet? Am I still here? Am I still here, you guys? Can I get a 1 in the chat if I'm still here? Because for some reason, they don't want this talked about. Okay, right on. Thanks, mademoiselle. Okay, so let me rewind this. And I just want you guys, the energy people in the house, and over here on LRGA Curves, it's all energy and frequency. We know about it, right? I want you to notice they've asked these people to their house, in essence, to host them on their turf. And I want you to notice how just any semblance of amicable courtesy seems to be a task for the hosts of the Breakfast Club, in addition to attempting to weaponize the slightest of anything against the Green Party candidates, along with the amount of talking over them. I don't know. It just feels like an ambush to me from jump. And I want you guys to, from jump, be just looking at the body language and be looking at the facial expressions, the energy given, like even from DJ Envy when he's introducing them, his posture is all like he's already bored at the subject. And I just want you guys to peep. Is it going to play now?
The Breakfast Club. Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Just Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren Rosa filling in for Jess, and we have our sister Angela Rye with us this morning, helping us out. Hello. And we got some special guests joining us. We have Dr. Jill Stein. Welcome.
Hello.
And Dr. Butch Ware.
Good
Welcome.
morning. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Morning.
We in the building. Y'all are the Green Party presidential candidate and running mate. Tell the people, what is the Green Party and how are they different from the Democrats and the Republicans?
Well, for one, we don't take money from billionaires and bankers in APAC and Wall Street and the war machine. So we're a people-powered party. That's what makes us totally different. That's what liberates us to actually tell it like it is and to stand up and fight for the people, for the health care that we need as a human right, for the housing that we need, because half of America right now, half of all renters are struggling to keep a roof over their heads. That's not a surprise, I'm sure, to the listeners on this program. 87 million people don't have the health care that we need. Our schools are in crisis. We got 44 million people carrying student debt. and a climate crisis. Yet we're spending half of our congressional dollars on the endless war machine, bringing us the likes of the genocide in Gaza and beyond. We got 3 nuclear wars in the making right now. This is where our dollars are going. It's half of our congressional budget. It's $12,000 on average per household in America to keep this endless war machine going right now. Yet we have such urgent and dire needs, especially among communities of color and African Americans. We've got really critical needs that we need to be meeting. And that's what the Green Party is about, actually fighting for people, planet, and peace over profit.
What would you say to people that feel like the Green Party is really taking votes away from Democrats and it's a disruptor? A lot of people, especially a lot of older people, when you talk about other parties outside of Republican and Democrats, they say, all they're doing is being disruptive. They're just taking the votes away from other parties. What are your thoughts on that?
So that's kind of the propaganda of the power machine that wants you to stay in your place, basically, and to think that resistance is futile and think that you don't own your vote. I mean, who owns your vote? Politicians have to earn your vote. They don't own it. And that's the question. Are they earning your vote? When you actually look at our condition, people are facing a crisis really in every dimension of our lives, and it's not getting better, yet our resources are being squandered. 68% of Americans want an immediate ceasefire and an end to the genocide. 68%. Yet you can hardly get a single vote on that behalf in Congress, and you're getting a standing ovation per minute for that war criminal Netanyahu, who is carrying out this genocide, which could be ended with a simple phone call from the president, just like Reagan did, just like Eisenhower did before him. The U.S. is in charge. This is our genocide going on right now. And don't let them talk you into voting for genocide. If you vote for genocide, you're endorsing it, you're enabling it. We can stop it. We actually have the power. And I'll just quote 2 people, Frederick Douglass, who said, "Power concedes nothing without a demand." The empire is trying to talk you out of your demand right now, but we have that demand. We have the numbers to make the demand. We got the solutions. We've got a system. We have an analysis which actually works, and we got to stand up and make that demand. They're trying to shame you and blame you out of making that demand that belongs to us. Our vote is our power in a democracy. Don't let them talk you out of it. And the second thing is Alice Walker, the novelist and poet, who said the biggest way people give up power is by not knowing we have it to start with. We got the power if you look at the numbers, if you look at the values, if you look at the solutions that are out there. They're out there really waiting for us to stand up and demand them. And if we don't, that's at our peril. It's not just that we're making a mess out of the world. We've committed some 80 regime change operations since the Second World War. What's going on in Gaza it's like a microcosm. It's like a symbol of empire and colonialism kind of run amok. But it's not the only place. We've been rolling out slow motion genocides all over the world for quite some time. And, this is catching up to us. We are no longer the dominant power around the world. Power is shifting. We need to shift with it. We can no longer be giving marching orders to the rest of the world. We need to stand up like an adult and be part of a global community and a shared power structure.
And if you can just tag me in right here, Jill, I'll go back to the first question, right? How is it different? So when I was evaluating, I called onto the ticket 3 weeks ago. Okay. And I had done an Instagram live with Dr. Jill Stein. And I asked her a couple of questions. I had just posted a reel where Kamala Harris had been asked about reparations.
Kamala Harris.
Okay, Kamala Harris had posted a reel about reparations. I posted a reel where she was talking about it. And she was asked, and she sort of went around for about 90 seconds, and then she ended by saying, "I will never do anything that only helps Black people." In other words, it was a rising tide lift all boats. We're gonna have social policies and stuff that helps Black folks by default. So I asked Dr. Jill in the interview, "What's your position on reparations?" And she said, "They behave as though it's incalculable, but it has been calculated by specialists many times. It's between 10 and $13 trillion US, and I'm in favor of cash payments to the descendants of the enslaved." So this had my attention with that, right? The second point is I said, well, we know that you have been at the forefront of the struggle for Palestinian liberation, and as an anti-Zionist Jewish white woman, that is a powerful statement, especially seeing you get arrested at pro-Palestine rally. So I know where you stand on Gaza. And we wouldn't be talking if you didn't stand in that place. This was before I was on the ticket. I said, what's your overall vision of foreign policy? And she said, to dismantle the American empire. And I said, yeah, you better hurry up quick and do it before somebody do it for you, right? That those two processes look very different. If you take the $1 trillion a year that are being thrown away, murdering other people's children in foreign countries, and instead put that into investments in infrastructure, into social housing, into healthcare in this country, then that looks like a flourishing, prosperous future, not just for Black America, but for all of America.
Okay.
Right? Whereas if you continue to torment humanity, the most brutal imperialist thing.
Okay. So I just wanted to pause real quick and say, doesn't it sound refreshing? It's not, oh, I support that place and I support that place too. And middle class taxes and middle class taxes and minimum wage and minimum wage. Obamacare. That's what the duopoly's been doing. And here on LRGA Curves, we did a reparations tally before, and we actually came up with around the number of 12 trillion that would be necessary in order to even make a dent in the amount owed. There's 45 million African Americans in the United States. There's 335 million Americans in the United States. Of the 45 million African Americans in the United States, I would say 30 million of them are foundational Black American blood. And when you take that number and you tally it by like how much it would, I was doing $1 million each would be great. $1 million untaxed dollars each would be a great step, along with, so $1 million cash payments, along with you don't have to pay taxes of any kind moving forward, along with your kids get to go to any college they want, along with, you know what I'm saying? So it's not a this or that, and it's not people in charge of our money. It's run me my money to my hand. Give me my check, give me my check, give me my check. I didn't mail in my work. Don't mail me my check. Give me my check in my hand and we cool, right? And there's not many politicians talking about cash payment reparations for foundational Black Americans. So Kamala Harris would not get a reparations check, you guys. She would not be getting a reparations check. She would not. Or her daddy. Her daddy wouldn't be getting it from here either for being Jamaican, but her great great grandfather probably did get reparations when he had to stop having slaves. Check it out. Kamala Harris's great great granddaddy was a slave owner and one of the most brutal slave owners in Jamaica, in Brownstown, Jamaica. That's the whole town named after him, Brownstown. Yep, sure is. But she wouldn't be on the list to have any reparations here in America because she wouldn't have been a foundational Black American. That means a Black American whose life was affected directly by the lineage of slavery in the United States. Did they cut me off for saying that? Am I still here? Am I still here? Can you hear me now? I'm moving. Oh no, oh no. Okay, there I'm moving. I'm still moving. Yeah, serious. Yeah, slave owner. You don't believe me? They don't talk about that. Thank you, mademoiselle. They don't talk about that. An Irish slave owner who settled in Jamaica, one of the most brutal in history of Jamaica. Here, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Brownstown. Is that how you do it? See, runs deep. Let's see. Okay. No, that's her history. Let's see. I'm showing you guys. Family of Kamala Harris from Brownstown to the White House. Here we go. Okay. Descended from white slave owner Hamilton Brown. Brown was born in Ireland in 1776. Here we go. Okay. Hamilton Brown. So now let's go look up Hamilton. You see this? Brown, did they cut me off yet? Hello? Hello? I'm still here. I think I am. Brown was a prolific slave owner in the context of Jamaican society and was associated with a large number of claims. 25 in total. He owned 1,100 slaves, most of them on sugar plantations in St. Anne Parish, equivalent to. He received a $24,000 payout at one time, equivalent to 2.89 million. So he got a form of reparations for having to give up his slaves. Okay. Okay. So there's a paper that her father wrote also called Reflections of a Jamaican Father. Yeah. That he wrote before he stopped talking to her for saying that all Jamaicans smoke weed or something like that. Okay. So that's true. Now let's get back to this. Is it going to let it play?
Ever to exist in human history. That we're coming up on a 9/11 memorial, right? Jill and I are going to do something, a march in Detroit. Well, what did Malcolm say about chickens coming home to roost?
Can you not hear it now?
We keep exporting this violence.
No way. I don't see my
globe,
microphone moving.
Keep coming right back here to our homes. And that's something that doesn't just concern Black and brown folk. That's something that concerns all folk. Last thing that I'll say on this, in response to your question, DJ Envy, I would, one version that we get of that question, regularly is like, well, you're throwing your vote away, right? That's the other version of it, okay? And the thing is in this broke electoral college, and by the way, the Green Party stands for abolishing the electoral college, okay? And so that hangover from slavery and bringing in ranked choice voting in all voting systems so that you're not putting people on opposite sides where they bang on each other, right? The real criminal, red and blue, is not the honorable street organizations like the Bloods and the Crips. The real criminal gangs, red and blue, are the Democrats and Republicans. And right now, they're being encouraged to bang on each other in public. If you have ranked choice voting, then people are going to be drawn to the middle rather than drawn to extremes. But let's go back to the question about throwing your vote away. In this electoral college system, all y'all throwing your votes away. Because unless you live in one of them 4 or 5 swing states, it is already decided that your state is going to go either blue or red before you ever get into the booth. So instead of throwing your vote away on team red or team blue when it don't make no difference in the state that you're in, why not vote for reparations now? Why not vote for a ceasefire now? Why not build power in a Green Party that is going to give people an actual viable third party alternative so that we can get these thugs on either side of the aisle to behave like grown folk?
Well, so you raise an interesting point around throwing your vote away, and there's actually numbers on that. Dr. Stein, you raised over $7.3 million for a recount in 2016, a recount of votes that probably actually do matter. In Michigan, for example, you acquired 51,463 votes. Of course, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 10,704 votes. And she lost by half a percentage point in Michigan. In Wisconsin, 31,006 votes. You acquired. Trump beat Hillary Clinton by 22,177 votes. In Pennsylvania, 49,400.
Do you guys believe in this that they are taking away votes from Hillary? I feel like the platform between Hillary and the Green Party was so different that it's obvious I'm just not voting for what Hillary stands for. Why does it have to be I'm taking that from her? It was never hers. It's just like a man or a woman in a relationship. You can't take what's not yours. You cannot take what's not yours. Believe it, okay? You cannot take what's not yours. How is that automatically Hillary's vote? So those 30,000 votes were automatically Hillary's? I do not agree. I don't believe that that could have possibly been the truth, because she didn't get them, so they weren't hers. And that's what Jill Stein was saying earlier. They act like that was owed to them. We already went over this, Angela. Were you listening? Those votes were not owed to Hillary Clinton. They did not go to Hillary Clinton because they were not hers to have. You cannot steal what's not yours. They did not own those votes to be stolen from them. The people own those votes to cast as they will. So this whole rhetoric that somehow there's a swath of Americans running around stealing from other Americans because they're not in on the sheeple of it all is daft, in my opinion. What do you think?
85 votes, and Donald Trump beat her by a little over 67,000 votes. You engaged in raising money for a recount because our votes actually do matter. Can you talk about the results of that recount in those three states that I just named?
Sure. And let me say that every vote counts, and we believe because every vote counts, that's why we don't want the Electoral College telling us that some states matter and others don't. We believe, and in terms of how we are conducting our campaign, we're in swing states, we're in red states, we're in blue states. We are all about building power and really helping to help people to grab the power that belongs to us. The fallacy there, which is what, the Democrats in particular harp on, and it's not true. The idea that votes for Greens came at the expense of votes for Hillary Clinton. We actually know from exit polls and just from people who vote for us, and it's about 61% of everybody who votes for us would not have come out to vote. So those votes didn't come from Hillary Clinton, and some of them actually came from Trump too. So if you actually crunch the numbers, what you see is that the outcome would not have changed at all if we weren't in the, yes, no Electoral College vote would have changed. Exactly, none. If you calculate the fact 60%, 61% of our votes would not have voted one bit. And of the remaining,
love to do that calculation, but the only thing
I'd be glad to share it with you.
No, I'm not. I'm a lawyer because I don't do math like that. But what I will say is, we don't really know that. Like folks come in, even, and you all know this too,
Well,
from
then
Ralph
let
Nader
me-
to you, right? Folks will say that
Ralph
they're going to
Nader,
vote
who
for
was
you.
one of about 6 third-party candidates in that
Sure,
election.
but
Ralph Nader.
But you don't know what my point was going to be.
All right, go
My point
ahead.
was just going
Go
to
ahead.
be that folks will say, and it's happened to Hillary Clinton, it's happened to Kamala Harris, it's happened to Donald Trump. Folks will say in a poll that they were going to vote or they are going to vote for this person.
That's true. You never know. But we also know that 1 out of every 3 voters did not vote in the last presidential election in 2020. 1 out of every 3 eligible voters chose not to vote. And who were they? They were largely, disproportionately of color, young, and low income. Exactly the people to whom our agenda speaks. So, a lot about voting is indeterminate, and it's not going to be predicted by polls, because polls, are by definition people who tend to vote. But what we're talking to are people who tend not to vote. Don't they also deserve a vote? And let me also cite the statistics that show the numbers are off the charts right now in terms of people who want other options. This is sampled every year by Gallup and also by Pew. But Gallup shows that the numbers now are 63% who are saying that the two parties are doing such a bad job of serving the public interest that 63% say we need another option, we need another major party. So it's like, amidst all this indeterminate stuff, and you're absolutely right, you can't predict a lot of this. Are we going to clamp down and say, therefore shut down choices, therefore shut down options, when that's what people are demanding? And why are people demanding it? Because they've been thrown under the bus for long enough. And they really want other options. So what we're saying is, let's give people those other options. If you're concerned about splitting the vote, so-called spoiled election, there's a solution for that. It's called ranked choice voting. We have been pushing that for 20 years, and the Democrats keep shutting it down. Why do they shut it down? Because they want to extort your vote. They want to be able to use fear campaigning and smear campaigning because they don't want to face the music. Oh, well, it's hardly a new charge.
Can I also just jump in? I know the question wasn't addressed.
No, of course.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a piece to it. And this has come, since I joined the campaign, reached out to colleagues. Dahlia Mugahed, key researcher at ISPU, Institute for Social Policy and Understanding. So these are publicly available numbers, and this goes to the heart of the question that you asked about previous elections, but it's about this upcoming one, and then it's about where we actually are. So key swing states: Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Georgia. Okay. These are all, for demographic purposes, essentially the same states. Similar proportion of African Americans, similar proportion of Muslims. There's little differences in the way that they're comprised, but specifically for the Muslim and Black populations, these are very similar states. So in 2020, Joe Biden received 65% of the Muslim vote in those states, and Joe Biden would not have won any of those states without getting that big majority amongst the Muslim vote. Okay. January 2024, 12% of the vote, according to polling.
According to polling.
Yes, from 65% to 12%. Okay, and the polling says, well, why? Gaza, right? So 80% of the people that have failed said that Gaza is the reason. Even if that's for people that were Trump voters, that's for people that were Biden voters. The Muslim community has already been lost, and it's not coming back. And the thing is that in those swing states, you are never getting the Muslim vote back, which means, in point of fact, if we know this, then the Democrats have for sure known this. They are not winning any of those swing states without those Muslim voters.
You don't think they're going to show up in November?
Impossible. Dead man walking, bro. I'm serious. It is a zombie.
Well, they will show, but right now they're looking like they're voting for us.
So that's the point. So Dahlia pointed this out. Yes.
Okay, I was pausing it here because you may or may not know that Dr. Butch Ware, the gentleman in the purple dashiki, is a Muslim. He's a Muslim. He's an African American Muslim man, grew up in Chicago, and converted to Muslim when he was I think 14 or something. So he would know what his people are doing here. He's been talking to them. He gets the fax messages about what the people are saying. And as a Muslim, it's impossible for them to participate in what's happening against their people in Palestine. So, and throughout that whole region. So he would, in fact, know. Is it going to play?
Yeah, so that's what they're showing is that it's upwards of 70% of those that are walking away from the Democratic Party are walking towards third party candidates. So in point of fact, only about 5%, 8%. There were two different numbers from two different points in time that Dahlia had cited. So somewhere between 5 and 10% are going towards Trump. It's a very small number.
Justice.
Right, that the Green Party was going to be the strongest of those three parties. So then another poll run by the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, showed just last week that
I'm going to pause it again. Just to let Justice know, this is our third time doing this live today. So far, we got censored out twice when I was pointing out that Kamala Harris's name was not on the primary ticket. And I'm not sure how she got installed at the DNC, the Do Not Care Convention. And they shut me down. And then I came back on and I was saying something else that was totally true and logical, and they shut me down again. But I feel like this conversation needs to be had, and people need to hear Dr. Jill Stein and Butch Ware go up and talk to fellow African Americans. And I was just noting in this particular interview how triggered this all Black African American cast, cohorts, co-hosts, whatever, in the Breakfast Club are very triggered by these two candidates telling them that they have a choice, that they have cash payment reparations on the table, and telling them basically the truth without the Breakfast Club employees going balls to the wall for the DNC. I mean, it's really weird. I'm like, everybody has a check there from the DNC. Look with this. Let's look. Justice says, I'm proud first time. Yes. Jill Steinviter. Yes. Yes. Once you hear them, yeah, learn the truth outside the DNC smears. It's liberating to be, yes, a fight for good. That's what we said in the first video that got shut down. We got about 18 minutes in before they were shutting us down, because I was like, we need to get out of this duopoly. I call it they're two cheeks of the same ass, and they're clapping in the strip club. America is the stripper, and she doing anything for a buck at this point. And duopoly, the Democrats and Republicans are trying to make it rain, and we are caught up, and there's a horrible diaper rash from the chafing of broken promises, of a military industrial complex, of imperialism, of no reparations, of Americans being homeless, of no health care. So there's this chafing that's been happening since the duopoly's inception that's gone untreated. And every time we bring up that we're in pain, they tell us to shut up and eat our contributions to places that aren't America. And that's probably why I get shut down over here when I start talking about this stuff. Let's keep on listening. I appreciate you being here. I'm just sipping coffee.
Nationwide now, not just talking about those 3 swing states, but nationwide had us polling neck and neck with Kamala Harris. And actually, a new poll was just released that came out this morning. I didn't get the chance to verify it, see whether it's a scientific poll or not, that we're now leading now.
You guys are you're saying that you're competing in red states and battleground states. I'm sorry, y'all jump in too, but it just
This is dope interaction. So let's keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real.
There are at least 13 states where you all are not like on the ballot. Folks would have to write you in, or it's still contested. You're actively petitioning, for example, to be on the ballot in Rhode Island. So in those states where there are also Muslim people who you're saying you're winning over based on a poll that you're going to find the information for, what options do they have? If this is a 50 state strategy, y'all are short by 30.
So in every state except for 3, there are 3 states that don't allow write-in campaigns, but write-ins are doable campaigns. Joe Biden himself won a write-in in New Hampshire because he was not in the primary for various reasons. Yeah, right. But even so, even in a primary, he ran a write-in campaign and did fabulous. So having the ability to do a write-in, if the community is really motivated, and
in Wyoming, North Dakota,
but in the overwhelming majority of states, we are actually on the ballot.
We will be on as write-ins in all of the states, with the exception of, I think it's South Dakota,
Indiana, and Oklahoma.
That's right, those 3 states.
But we are on the ballot, not write-ins. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so we will be a choice, an anti-genocide, anti-war, pro-worker, pro-reparations, climate emergency choice, and the only one which has nationwide status, we will be on the ballot for 95% of voters. That is more than enough to win an election. But, I don't want to just focus on winning the election. This is an odd election. And I would not rule out a win, but that's not the only reason to run. Every vote cast for our campaign is a vote against genocide. It is a shot across the bow of the endless war machine to say that we, the people, are getting organized. We are moving forward. We are growing. We have organization and infrastructure that we have never had before. We've never been able to break through like we are now because Greens have been ahead of the curve on a lot of things like climate change, on reparations, on healthcare as a human right, on housing as a human right, also on Gaza and genocide. We've been very much ahead of the curve. And on cutting the military budget. We're spending as much as the next 10 major military budgets around the world right now. We're more than all 10 of them put together. We can cut our military budget, which is not benefiting us here in America, and put those dollars into what we critically need right here and right now. We need to be raising the floor for schools across the country. Why should the quality of your school depend on luxury housing in your community? Schools should not depend only on property taxes from housing. The federal government should be in the business of raising the floor so that we have a common standard across the country. So regardless of your zip code, you have good, high quality education where you're starting out. Things like that is where we need to be spending our money, not on endless war, on genocide, on killing children, on massacring women and children every day. The police violence in this country. We don't need that police violence. And there are alternatives to that that can actually move us forward. Yeah, go ahead.
You were a candidate in 2012, 2016.
Right.
What's the difference in 2024?
Oh, man. It's the difference between night and day. It's the thing about being ahead of the curve and then the curve catches up to you. Curve is catching up to us on all the things, really, our agenda.
Right on.
The agenda that we've been putting forward since 2012.
Thank you.
Really is the progressive Democratic
Thanks for the
agenda
subscription.
right now. Healthcare is a human right. Housing is a human right. Reparations to the extent that they give it lip service to the Green New Deal. Yeah.
It sounds like what
cutting
you want to
military
happen
budget.
if you're not planning to win an election.
Who said we wasn't planning to win?
Well, what I heard is
No,
maybe
I'm saying it's not the only. It's
Exactly.
not
okay,
the
so
only.
it's hard to understand.
Yeah.
As a candidate, to hear that from a candidate, it kind of gives like, well, why are you here then?
It does sound like
You might as
y'all
well
are
bring up with a
No. Let make.
Okay, I want you guys to get with the gaslighting that's about to take place. So Jill Stein, who's been running since 2012 or 20 whatever, she said honestly that it's not just about winning, because every time she runs, they get more and more steam. People are hearing about her this cycle that never heard about her last cycle. People heard about her last cycle that never heard about her the cycle before that. People heard about her the cycle before that never heard about her before the cycle before that. So every single time she runs, she does get more and more of a message out, and it's starting to take a stronghold in the ideal that we do not have to remain in a duopoly. The literal meaning of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's the literal meaning of fucking sanity. Yet my blood and bones are arguing with me that I must continue to abide within the duopoly and in the cheek of the Democrats specifically. Even though she doesn't have a platform, even though she told me that she's not doing anything specifically for anyone that looks like me, even though the allegiance has been pledged to the place over there cracking up watermelons, okay, that needs to be free, where they need to free all the watermelon, okay? The gaslighting of these people jumping on, oh, well, if it's not about winning, then why are you even here? And in the same breath being like, well, you don't have the infrastructure to even get stuff done. You can't get infrastructure without impact, and you can't impact unless you're continuously getting your word out, and you can't do that unless it's not only about winning, because if it was only about winning, then they might not be running all the time, because it does take a long time to get a new thought going to the right amount of people in order for it to take hold. But once you hear what you've been looking for, once you see what you've been seeing in your mind's eye, once you hear what you've heard in your dreams, once you do, how dare a person try to relinquish us back to a duopoly? It just feels like this conversation, they can't win for losing. Have you ever heard that saying? You can't win for losing. That means that no matter what you do, you can't win. Because these people are always going to try to find a way to take what they say, turn it around, and make them losers. So we're going to go back a little second and listen to Jill Stein say how it's not only about the winning. It's not only about winning. And that's what a person who has lost 12, 10 times would have to tell yourself. But then again, that's also the amount of passion that you have, that regardless of winning, you want to get this word out. It's like she's being a prophetess in a way. It's really like she's being a prophetess. And she has been preaching about things that have been acquired and absorbed into the duopoly, platforms that they have enacted and started, that have been picked up and usurped by both Democrats and Republicans, only to be told you're nothing, you can't play in this sandbox, but you took all my toys and you playing with them. You building very vast sandcastles with my sand pill of reparations. You're building a nice little thing over there with my Obamacare outline. Yeah, you are. My Obamacare outline pill. You're taking all my pills and making your stuff. You're not acting on it. You're just doing word salad. It's just so you can appease. Because the ideals that have been purported by the Green Party have been, over time, groundbreaking, breathtakingly wonderful ideals to break us out of this system that has kept all of us broke for so long. Anyway, funny who gets censored. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Thanks for being here. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring the bell so you can get notified when we upload videos. Okay.
Go in on this, please, because I would not have joined this campaign. I would not have come out of prestigious position in the academy and organizing if I didn't think that we had a chance to win this fight. Look, I'm converted to Islam after reading the autobiography of Malcolm X at age 15. Malcolm brought me into knowledge of self, brought me to Islam, schooled me on the Black radical tradition. I've been teaching and building this community. I speak fluent Wolof, lived in West Africa for years. I got a good life, and I'm not coming out of that in order to play no spoiler. So I was raised in that Black Muslim tradition, and just like Muhammad Ali, I came in because I believe we have a chance to shock the world. And I know that the deck is stacked against us, but this right here is part of our strategy, right? Because what happens is that when people hear this agenda and understand that we're talking about erasing the generational wealth gap now, right? Having a bunch of Black Wall Streets and new Tulsas that we can establish now, not another 100 years, not going with your hands out to the Democrats, like Malcolm said, where they, treat you like a political chump. You put them first, they put you last, as Malcolm said. We erase that in this generation. We build Black businesses, Black Wall Street, and they can't burn it down this time. So by appearing in a forum like this, what is going to happen is we're going to get on a debate stage. And when this woman goes up on the debate stage, exactly, well, who knows? But the point is that as soon as we are in the mainstream media conversation, exactly, we have a watch party tonight.
You guys have a response.
We will be doing a response.
Meet the qualifications for AP.
Incorrect.
The qualifications established by an exclusionary framework
But
whose
y'all,
goal is to silence and throw off the ballot
That's what it is.
options
I think it's a
for
15%
voters.
threshold for you to be polling at least 15%.
Well, before that, there wasn't a 15% threshold when this was run.
And it's been proven by Cornel West, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Marianne Williamson have all said the same thing, that they've been under attack constantly by the DNC specifically, and having their money taken, having rules added to the thing that were never there before, like it's Tiger Woods at the Masters, y'all. They be adding rules to try to make it hard for him. And so for Angela Rye right here to say, oh, I don't think that's what it is. I'm like, bitch, come on now. You got to be intellectually honest, Miss Attorney. I'm an attorney. Well, be intellectually honest. Or are you the kind of attorney that's chasing ambulances? You know what I'm saying? Like, they have a point. They have a proven point that has been confirmed by multiple sources in the same situation. We saw him do it to Bernie Sanders. Remember when they kept Bernie Sanders off the thing, thinking that Hillary was going to be our girl to win against 45, and that's how 45 became 45, was because they hindered the democratic process and installed who they wanted installed and did not allow the democratic process to play out and kept Bernie Sanders out of the DNC convention, remember? But then they're going to turn around and tell us that unless we vote for them again, that everything's going to be worse. I'm not buying it. Gonna go grab some water while this plays. See it spinning and playing.
Was hijacked by the private corporations of the Democratic and Republican parties before they were in charge. It was whether or not you actually were going to be a choice for enough voters across the country that you could potentially win the election. So we have satisfied that criterion, the basic criterion. I mean, as a voter, because polls are self-fulfilling. They are self-fulfilling prophecies. If you're in the poll, as determined by whatever private polling agency, if you are in the polls, people are going to know about you. If you're not even in the poll, people won't know.
They do not predict outcomes; they produce them.
And if people are saying, if people are screaming for other choices, don't they have a right to hear those other choices?
I think they do, but I think that what you have are people that need a certain level of validity to the campaign. You will not hear Donald Trump or Kamala Harris tonight on this debate stage saying, hey, it's not just about us winning. Winning everything. And even if we want to say, hey, this shouldn't be a binary choice. I grew up also raised by an activist. My dad brought home the picture of all of the parties in South Africa.
So you're right.
The multi-party team is great. That's not what we have. We have a binary choice between.
Well, you may say so, but the American, it's not in the Constitution. The American people don't want that. The American people are explicitly on record in absolutely unprecedented numbers saying we want other choices, and not only do people want other choices, they want to hear their choices.
I do believe in a third party. I think we need other options, but it does seem like you all have a lot more for the Democratic Party. I just wonder why.
Yeah, so
because the Democratic Party is actively working against them.
To finish the previous one, I absolutely would not be in this race if I didn't think that we had a chance to win. I wouldn't waste y'all's time, and I wouldn't waste my own time. So that's number one. They're the ones that are suing to keep us off the ballot. They're the ones that are trying to knock us off the ballot in Georgia. They're the ones that are doing,
which they just won, by the way,
from coming. If we were not a problem for them, AOC wouldn't be, doing her little sorry attack ads, against us, that we came back at. So the Democrats are attacking us. We're responding in kind. Just to be plain about this, the reason why they don't want Dr. Jill Stein on a debate stage is because she will be able to look at Team Red and say, this is a party that is led by a domestic terrorist and a criminal. Okay, tried to overthrow the government on January 6th and is convicted of numerous crimes, including sexual abuse that amounts to rape and so forth. So this man is a domestic terrorist and a criminal. Okay, she can look to Kamala Harris.
Kamala.
Sorry,
Come on.
Come on, my brother.
You know.
hold on. No, it's honest to God, no disrespect. To be perfectly honest, it's just the way that I had gotten used to pronouncing the name because it resembles a name that is used in West Africa.
But you understand the point of getting it right, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you had to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, brother on the team.
Okay. About this name thing. Look, I had to put my hair up, y'all. About this name thing. Her name could be Kamala Harris, but it's pronounced Kamala. All the A's are Ahs. Some people who are used to saying an A like ah will say Kamala Harris. Kamala. They'll make all the A's like as. And some people naturally can go to see that spelling and make it an ah sound. For these people to be jumping on him for his pronunciation of the name is interesting, that they want to jump on that, but they didn't jump on the fact that their party is actively tricking them and coercing them under fallacy by suing to keep other options off the plate for them. That seems like they should be like, oh my God, really? They're doing what? But instead they're like, her name is Kamala. Isn't it weird? To me, that's weird shit. To me, that seems really weird that is, of all the things to get your panties in a bunch about out of the statement that the man just made, that what you choose to make your dog bone is that it's ah, not ah. In a room of people that she doesn't give a fuck about doing anything specifically for, or a fuck about doing anything specifically for. But they all know that everybody better get her name right. But you better not get her name wrong. But she's not doing nothing for you specifically. But you're gonna go to bat for her because somebody's pronouncing her name the way that they want to pronounce her name. And in America, hey, look, it's still freedom of speech. It's still freedom of speech until it's rewritten otherwise. We have a semblance of freedom of speech. And what, you know how some people just can't get names right? Like my real name is Leah. And some people just they'll say Leah, Leo, La. I'm like, come on, dude. It's 2 syllables. Lee, and they will be like, Ali, whatever. They will just not be able to get it right because their phonetics in their mouth just, and it's not trying to be disrespectful. It's just their mouth won't participate in getting it right. Have you ever met somebody like that? I have personally, and my name is literally 2 syllables, and it's just an E and a, okay? And they will just get it wrong. Would work with the bitch for 2 years, and she's still Leia, 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 Leia. So it seems like a pretty hard ride for someone who's not going to do anything specifically for you, but he better get her name right. It's just a little more of this gaslighting mind fuckery that's going on with what people are choosing to drill down on in this battle for your will. Your free will is at stake here. Are you free willingly going to participate in how your tax dollars are being spent now that you know that's what they're being spent on, when your politicians are going over signing the things that go boom and then making them go boom on your behalf with your tax-paying dollar? Or do you not agree with that and you choose to look at another option? I'm not sure. Did they cut me off yet? Am I still here? I'm still here. Because you never win when you play dirty. That's the last time they cut me off too. I was in the middle of the whole soliloquy about how Nene Leakes well told us you never win when you play dirty. And based off of what is being revealed by Cornel West, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Marianne Williamson, and now Jill Stein and Dr. Butch Ware, the DNC is actively participating in tricking the American people into believing we only have a binary choice of the duopoly. And that simply is not the fact. It is not the case. You are being coerced under duress. I'm not sure how you feel about signing contracts under duress. I'm not sure. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with you telling me this is my only option during my moment of need when I could use another option, but you're my only option. So you're going to tell me these things to make it more seem like you're my only option, but there were really other options. Let's let him keep talking. Yeah, what policies, mademoiselle? Who cares about her name? All of our tax dollars abroad.
I will not make that mistake again.
Coppola.
I love seeing black people jump up like,
No, hold on.
not me.
Listen. Listen, richly deserved. And if I act a fool, check my black ass. That's fine.
Right.
Like no joke. Like I expect to be held accountable by my people, whether those are black folk or Muslims. So that is all love and it's all welcome. You're not gonna get no pushback from me on that. So where was I? She will turn to Kamala, okay, and be able to say.
Did you guys hear these black people just tell this black man that it's triggering for him to not say this woman's name right, who said she doesn't have nothing for them? It's triggering. Doesn't that sound like they're in an abusive relationship, kind of? That's what I was saying. This is like a DV situation, you guys. Your abusive lover has beat you so much that you better say their name right, but they're not even willing to feed you when they come home and eat in front of you, like Kenya Moore ate in front of them at the South Carolina trip and was like, oh, you guys better Uber some food because she didn't have nothing for them, but she was eating in their face. What kind of hosts are these? That is so weird. It's like Stockholm syndrome, the way these people are going to bat for the woman who says she don't have nothing for you and that she's tired of you asking. It's insanity to me, you guys. I almost feel like I'm on a planet by myself, but I know there are more like minds in this situation than not on my side. And I'm not saying I'm a side specifically. I'm just saying on the side of looking for a way outside of the duopoly. These people literally just said they were triggered because he said Kamala because he said Kamala instead of Kamala. The abusive relationship 101. Can't say nothing bad about you can't speak about him poorly in the public. You better not tell nobody he's whooping your ass. Here we go.
Is actually a war criminal in the following respect. The ICC, ICJ have made rulings that the Zionist entity, the state of Israel, is an illegal apartheid state, okay, conducting an illegal genocide in the midst of an illegal occupation. And that anyone that provides material support to those things is actually complicit in war crimes. So you will say that there's a domestic terrorist on Team Red and a war criminal on Team Blue. One party on this stage is not led by a criminal. One party on this stage wants to restore power to the American people, give a viable third-party alternative. And just to return to the point, yes, I do want that shotgun chain. And I'm coming for Trump. Like, I've already got my game plan laid out for Trump. You know, Trump thinks he can do nicknames. I already tagged AOC Pelosi, right? and The reels have already started with that. So I'm coming for Trump. But the reality is that we have had to get the Democrats out of the way because they're trying to keep us off of ballots. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
When you talk about AOC though, like, it sounds like you have issues with her, right?
Yeah.
And her whole thing is like, you guys, according to what she's saying, that it doesn't add city council seats, state elected,
She's
and
wrong.
ballot candidates.
She's wrong. 1,500.
Have you seen the flyer?
1,500 out of how many
seats.
total? Though? Yeah, because
Well,
how important? Because you
but
hear from the
her
people.
point
How
was
important is
that
that for?
we're not growing, we're not running for lower office, and that we disappear except every 4 years we come out for president. Those were her claims, and they are absolutely false and misleading. She should know better because she was actually campaigning for a local Green in 2017. She ought to know better. No, what she talked about was the Working Families Party, but that is not a third party. It is a second. What she mentioned was the Working Families Party, her third party. And what that does, that is a second ballot line. It's not a third party, it's a second ballot line for the Democrats. And it runs people who are already Democrats or they're independent on their way to becoming Democrats. And the main thing about working families versus true independent, non-corporate political grassroots parties, we are under attack by the Democrats in particular. And that's what, it's the Democrats, it's not the Republicans, it's the Democrats who bragged starting back in March that they now had an army of lawyers to basically exercise lawfare, looking for trivial details where they could do a gotcha and get us thrown off the ballot, violating the spirit of the law to basically eliminate their competition. They have also advertised publicly for infiltrators and spies to mess up our ballot drives, and they also hijacked our public funding, $300,000. I know it's not a lot in the scheme of what Democrats and Republicans run on, but we're a grassroots, people-powered, low-budget party. That public funding meant a lot, and that's part of the reason why we're not on in three states.
I just have a question that I would want all of y'all to chime in on this. Is it fair to call the vice president a war criminal when she's actively calling for an end to the war in Gaza and she's just the vice president?
Well, it's lip service, I mean, she could.
What James Baldwin say? I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. You have the power to influence policy now. Sorry,
she's the vice president. I mean,
but she could at least speak out. She could speak out.
But she is.
No, she speaks out in the same way that Biden does.
Palestinians on the stage. You're talking about
not a single one.
Where they held them off, where they slaughtering them like animals in Gaza, and then they muzzle them like animals at the Democratic.
Even when they are faithful supporters of the party and of their candidates, they still would just to humanize Palestinians.
So it means nothing to call for the end.
Well, Biden is already doing that. He's already doing that, and Kamala Harris, spoke a little more from the heart about the plight of the Palestinians, but not any different whatsoever about what to do. Basically, she said that our support for Israel is undying. It's it's an absolute. We will stand by Israel no matter what, come hell or high water.
Both parties are bought and paid for by AIPAC and the War Machine. So that's the thing. Their souls are folded on tiny little pieces of paper that are buried deep in the pockets of Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and AIPAC. I'm not even playing with you. And let me just say this because I don't know if I'm going to get the chance to say this in another venue where it will matter this much. As a historian of anti-slavery resistance movements in West Africa and the diaspora, as a historian of the Black resistance tradition in continental as well as diasporic Africa, I am personally offended by the way that Blackness is being weaponized in this electoral cycle in order to justify white supremacist genocide in Gaza.
Expound.
Okay, so
Malcolm, and I want to follow that too. Go ahead.
So Malcolm X, my mentor, and I didn't meet him, but read the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Malcolm said of Zionism, of the Zionist state, the Israeli state, he said that this is a white Jewish population, the Ashkenazi population, being given power by white imperialists to remove brown Arabs from their land. He said, so therefore Zionism is white supremacy. In 1979, Open Letter to the Born Again, James Baldwin said the same thing. He said the state of Israel was not created for the salvation of the Jews, it was created for the salvation of Western interests. Okay, so when you go through Kwame Ture, Malcolm X, James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, Angela Davis, Assad Shakur, these are all people that cited the Palestinian resistance movement, not even to bring in the Africans, right? Not to mention Nelson Mandela, not to mention Thomas Sankara, who talked about Zionism as being the face of imperialism in the Middle East, right? This is what the Black radical tradition taught me. And the black radical tradition taught me that if we weaponize our blackness in favor of white supremacy, then we become apostates from blackness itself. Because blackness is not a race. It is an oppositional ideology to white supremacy. I'm a historian of Africa by training. Never before in human history had people speaking hundreds of different languages made themselves into one people, developed a common culture so that you and I can relate to one another. You and I can relate to one another on the basis of a shared culture. And we got our Latin and Caribbean brothers and sisters, you know, especially Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, but also, you know, more broadly, right, that share in that culture. That is a miracle. It's never happened before in human history. Because what happened is that an oppositional identity to white supremacy came into being, and that is us. And when I see that identity now being weaponized to justify the most heinous genocide in our time, like Harriet Tubman is rolling over in her grave right now. Sojourner Truth is rolling over in her grave right now. Bell Hooks is rolling over in her grave right now. Who did I miss? Do you know what I'm saying?
Who did I miss?
Weaponize something as sacred as black womanhood, and then utilize this to justify blowing up Palestinian cities.
You hear what I'm saying. What I'm hearing, because I want to make sure I clarify before I respond to it, is that because Kamala is a black woman and she's running as a black woman, and she's not speaking out against things that you want her to, she's using her black womanhood to...
No, I think so. So what I saw is I saw a lot of black abolitionists of both sexes, of all gender identities. I saw a lot of black abolitionists going hard in the paint at Joe Biden, right? And then as soon as Kamala was silent, all of a sudden people that you could count on that were solid through and through as abolitionists suddenly become apologists for empire.
And you thought about why?
Yes, of course I've thought about why.
Why is that?
The reason is that we have this aspirational that is related to like black achievement and black power and black excellence, and it was weaponized in the Obama presidency. But so let me.
Could it be something else?
Please educate me.
Could it be? I know her.
Yes.
Could it be that she is someone? Could it be that when the opportunity, you can turn your head?
Oh no.
Okay. Here it starts. We're 33 minutes in of a 1 hour, 9 minute, 50 second video. We're at 33:50. And they said they're being attacked, they're being silenced, they're being censored. They is in the Green Party. They have valid points. They have wonderful platform. They have a clear vision of America the way that the people of America see it. They're on 95% of the ballots. They've run many times. They built up this momentum. The time is ripe. They do have a problem with the DNC because the DNC is who's actively working against them. Simultaneously, guys, that's another reason the DNC is... Look, the DNC creates its own monster by working against the Green Party so much that it makes Republican lawyers actively work on behalf of the Green Party and of Cornel West, which, while it's welcomed because they don't have the money to cover it themselves, it's not really like asked for or sought out because you don't really want like Dick Cheney endorsing you as a Green Party person. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, you know, birds of a feather flock together. We don't want to get into the ass cheek situation again. Okay. We don't want to. Okay. So we're going to need people to sign an ass free waiver before they come over to the green side, or the third time's a charm, as I like to say it. Third time's a charm. So this time we're doing the third party because third time's a charm. Okay. We've been dealing with the two-party system and we keep getting what you're getting. You know, keep getting what you're getting. Right? Or we can opt to really do another thing and go for third time's a charm. But look, this is when Angela really starts getting after. She right here says, I know her. So her whole little posture the whole time has been because she knows her and she's taken all of this personal. She hasn't even been like hearing to me in a non-defensive way so far, because they've said some fantastical things that just as a human, I would be like, ooh, really? How are you going to get that done? You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be sitting there with my response on my laptop that you can see clearly right here. You see this laptop? Yeah. I wouldn't be sitting here for my conversation with my laptop open. Do you realize that I don't know anybody who just has a conversation from reading their notes in a laptop? I don't personally know anybody like that. Not even people with the worst of memories that have active memory issues. Uh-oh. Are you going to go small? Not even people that have active memory issues in my life sit at our conversations with their laptop open like this, going down points. The only time I've really seen it like this, with points like this to be had, is during a debate. And that's usually when both people know that they're there to debate and they would have, the retorts for what would be said during the debate. Now, as a presidential candidate, when the pickings are a 34 count felon or someone who's been installed, or a third party that has a platform, you guys. But I don't have conversations from a laptop to be like, here's the answer. Try this one. Cite this. For the people that saw the debaters, you know what it's up. You know what's up, right? And I love a robust conversation off top, because that's where I get all my best rhymes, is off top. Okay? I'm not necessarily the kind of artist that goes into the recording booth with everything written down. I write it once and then like say it a couple of times, but I don't necessarily do it from here all the time. Like I might look down, but I'm not like just like da 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 da, depending on how many times I've done it. I do have a rap on my thing. You look it up. It's called 19. Look it up. I get down. I made the music and I made the words for it. Yep, I sure did. I copywrote it and everything. Sure did. But Angela is pretending at this point, under the guise of her attorneyism and friendship to Kamala Harris, that we're just having a conversation and my laptop just happens to be open, but I'm constantly looking at it to get points. I don't think it's as important for Jill Stein to know how many representatives there are in the House of the Senate, or how many congressional numbers of the Senate there are, as much as not having a platform on your website for over 50 days after you were installed as the nominee for the Democrats, over having 34 counts against you as a nominee for the Republicans. I think that's the least of our worries, actually, that she wouldn't happen to know that there's 435 seats in the wherever they said, and I just listened to it yesterday. That's how irrelevant it is. And who knows, once you get a green president, I feel like the seats under that position would naturally start turning greener. Duh. So you don't need necessary allies off top. You can come and install your allies the way that other people install their people, and just keep having the same ideas in the White House year after year after year. Administration after, it's a whole different administration, but you're using the same person for finance that the last two Democrats used. And we in a worse situation. Milk and gas should not be the same price per gallon. One a human needs and one an automobile needs. They should not be the same price per gallon. And I found out recently, I don't have an electric car, y'all. I don't even want a motherboard in my car. They could even shut that down. But I found out recently that they are having electric cars. They charge you money to charge your electric car. I didn't know that. It didn't even dawn on me that was what was happening. I was like, oh, it's cheaper because you don't have to buy gas. But I didn't think that you had to buy the charge that everybody's in line for. That didn't even cross my mind. And then it's like $50 to charge your car all the way up to the 200-mile maximum. Isn't that crazy? And you have to find places to pull over at random to charge your car. Isn't that crazy? Where to me, like you're kind of like you're just sitting there charging your car. I don't know. I'd rather do that at my house. I think in my garage, maybe. I don't know if there's a way to do it that way. Anyway, let's get this back up. Stop sharing this and start sharing this. Thanks for being here on LRGA Curves. Make sure you smash that like button, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already. Ring my bell, so you can get notified next time I upload a video.
The Breakfast Club would need the clout shakes.
And so you can become part of this beautiful curvy community that we're growing over here in the global YouTube streets, in the globe. In the global YouTube streets. Let's see, where'd our interview go? Where'd the interview go? Did it get taken down? You guys, we were just watching it. Let's go back here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Can you guys see this now? Right on. I can see it on mine. Hopefully you can see it on yours too, because it had disappeared on mine. So let's get back to Angela Rye. So right around 3350, she starts getting really hyphy, you guys. Like she's just getting more and more worked up. The more sense that Butch, Ware, and Jill Stein make, the more the rest of the people in this room get worked up. Watch. The more talk of a way off the plantation, the more riled these people are getting. Watch what I'm saying. Thanks for being here.
You can turn your head, but I've been in the room, Dr. Ware.
Don't be disrespectful, Dr. Ware. You're not.
No, I was not.
In the spirit, but I'm just saying, I've been in the room.
I was actually not turning my back. I was looking to see what the response on the other side of the room was.
So we engaged.
Yeah, no, because I can't see people that are behind me. So no disrespect.
We're all having healthy conversations.
Nobody's
against anybody.
I agree. No.
I never turned my back on Angela ever again. The last thing that I need is this just to make me an enemy.
You hear her talking about they have a strategy.
Because it's part of the strategy.
Because I knew you was kind of getting your way to this, and it's very disappointing to see you do that and then say
What do we miss?
so how I
Go ahead. I would definitely like to hear.
Could it be that someone
you get a little nervous. I understand.
No, I'm straight.
Happens to me all the time.
No, I just had to like.
although that might be true, you don't need to be protected from me. My words are not weapons, and actually, it's just really to dispel some of the myths. I think that since you believe in polls a lot more than I do, there are a lot of folks that are saying that they still are trying to get to know Kamala Harris, even clearly how to pronounce her name.
Yep.
So what I would say is, it could be that they've seen an opportunity for negotiation, for hearing another perspective. I've been in the rooms with her on justice reform issues, and others help to convene those rooms where she's been more open. Because what we do know about how politics works is that it can't just be this wish agenda. I love a lot of what you all have on your agenda. I'll call it the after 7 ready or not agenda. I'll give you the sun, the rain, the moon, the stars, and mountains. But there's really
who called it a wish list? You mean the same people that spend $1 trillion of y'all's money blowing up other people's kids are saying it's a wish list to have an actual social program?
I think that's propaganda. It's not propaganda. I'm saying it because I've worked on Capitol Hill. It's very difficult to get what you're trying to achieve. So just for example,
Jill can talk about what you can adjust in the executive office.
Ware,
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Just for an example, I'd love to know how many voting members in the United States House of Representatives.
So we have been blocked. The Democrats throw us off the ballot. They interfere with spies and infiltrators on our campaign.
How many voting members?
Real quick. As a voter, does it matter to you if the person running for president knows how many voting members there are in whatever she's talking about? Or does it matter to you that one has 34 counts and one didn't get a platform until 54 days after being the installed person to be the person? And the platform that they have is really looking very similar to what the fuck is currently going on, and is very, very issue based instead of solution based. I'm asking for a friend that happens to be an American, because this is America. Okay, a wish list? Really? Really? This is kind of like the time when the people visited The View and they were like, oh, you're do very dippy stuff. And it's just kind of feels like it is literally an attack. So when they just called it an attack and you pretended like that was strategy to point out your attack is an attack, come on now. I'm watching the shit and I thought that would look like an attack that just happened. So trying to tell Butch Ware that he's not literally being attacked while he's being attacked is crazy to me. That's some Housewife 103 shit. Because you have to have gotten through Housewife 101 and 102 to get to Housewife 103 when they try to convince you that what you're literally seeing isn't what you saw. That's part of gaslighting 101 though. Yeah, but Housewife 103. Depends on what mod you're in. Let's keep it going. Hope you like what you're hearing so far as different ideals. I hope you like their chutzpah, their drive, their passion. I hope you like how they're ready with everything they're trying to attack them with their words. They are, in fact, trying to attack them with words. That's why the laptop is out. That's why she has this shit bookmarked. That's why this is even a question, is because she had it in an outline for questions for Dr. Jill Stein and Butch Ware, that we're going to ask them this. Now, I'm not sure. I already told y'all I don't watch the Breakfast Club. I don't really watch it because of the seat sniffer, Charlemagne the Night Guy. I don't really participate over there. So you guys can tell me if this is a usual question they give to all the presidential candidates that they have, or are these questions specific to certain candidates? I do know that in the clip I did see of when they interviewed Kamala Harris, they asked her, did she smoke weed? I don't remember a clip circulating of whether or not she knew the number of the people sitting in the place in order to get the vote-a-majig for the thingamabob. I don't remember that being a question. So I'm not sure what relevance it has. This whole questioning we're about to see right now, in my opinion, was aggressive on the side of Angela and unwarranted, and the subject matter is kind of like Evelyn Lozada would say, as far as it being a non-motherfucking factor. Okay? That's what Evelyn told Tammy Roland about her as the wife of the husband she was smashing on the side. In that situation, she considered the wife a non-motherfucking factor to the smashing of the marital husband behind the wife's back. And that's indeed a factor. But this needing to know the exact number of something all off top when you are there to talk about your platform is kind of just like I could see it being like a brain fart moment, I could see it, but it's still an unwarranted question. And why is Angela so hyphy about it? Listen to this, Liz. Listen. Is it coming back? Angela has been on MSNBC, and she now has a podcast with Tiffany Cross, and the one who was so close to winning the governorship of Florida. Oh, until he effed up. Oh, the one that got methed out in the room and had gay sex with the escort that told on him, and somebody was found passed out with meth all over their chest and balls or something like that. Is that the person you're talking about? Allegedly? Same here. I don't watch the BC for the same reasons, but the comments on their channel from their viewers told on him. Yeah, we went over that in episode 1 of this. I told you this is the third time's a charm getting this up. I'm surprised they let me be up for this hour and a half, because we tried twice, huh, mademoiselle? Let's see. Pronunciate. See, everybody makes mistakes, Miss Thing, but the Greens didn't trip. You can see who's operating on good faith, in this interview, and who's hustling to keep us on the plantation. Ooh, Justice. I feel you, girl. I am always, or guy, Snoopy, I feel you, Snoopy. I am always talking about getting off the damn plantation. Meet me at the West Gate at midnight. And when you hear the, then you go, and I'll know it's you and you know it's me, and we can get off this shit, okay? Breaking free off this plantation. Harriet would be proud, okay? Yes. They are all in cahoots with one another, trying to stop the will of the masses. Exactly. Did you know that's a 3-syllable word? Exactly. And it's not E, it's IG. Exactly. Okay? Exactly. Trying to stop the will of the masses. And that's what the meaning of democracy is. The meaning of democracy, we went over etymology. We love it over here. The meaning of democracy is based in the people choose. Like, the root meaning of it is the people choose. Okay? It's not just an awards show. It's the root meaning of democracy, when we're supposed to be able to choose based off of who was on that primary ticket, which Kamala Harris was not on there. And first you want me to suck that up. Then you want me to suck up that she's black because she puts collard greens in a bathtub. And I keep telling you guys, she should have never repeated that story out loud. That's some nasty shit. Wash the greens in her bathtub. Think about even when you go to the cleanest of a hotel, the cleanest, the highestly rated star of a hotel. You go in your bathroom, you look down, and what's there? Hair. That's not your hair. But you know the lady just cleaned the thing, because the thing is across the toilet, and they have the little fold on the toilet paper, and they have the thing where it's supposed to be across the tub side and everything, and the towels are rolled up. And there's always hair. Always. In the spick and spannest of the spannest of the spick of the span of bathtubs. How many times have you gotten in and you're like, la, 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 and you're singing, I'm every woman. You're washing and singing. No. Oh, husband, hi. Okay, thanks, hubs. That's husband. and you're singing I'm Every Woman in the Shower, and you look and it's like that scary music, and it's like hair in the shower. And then once you see that one, your eye automatically starts seeing all the other hairs in the shower that aren't yours, even though the shower was clean. You know what I'm saying? And this woman sat up in the interviews and told us that she's Black because she washed the collard greens in the bathtub that were requested by a friend for a party to be served to other people. That's exactly why you don't need it at everybody's fucking house. Okay? Because of nasty shit like that. The people that let the freaking cat be on the same counter as where you're kneading the dough for the pie crust. That's nasty. For the people that let the dog lick their hand and then they give it a little stir in the freaking cake batter. That's nasty. Washing collard greens in the bathtub and ended it with a fucking cackle. That's nasty shit. I love you, husband. I love him so much. Okay. It's nasty. You know how nasty it is? Nasty. And to repeat the story as the antidote to your Blackness. And now when everybody talks about you being Black, oh, here they go bringing it up again. You're the one that brought it up. Oh, here they go bringing it up again. You're the one that brought it up. And then told us he wasn't going to do nothing for us anyway. Anyway, let's keep listening. That's been my lesson. I need to listen more. I'm so sorry. Let's get back to listening, Larja. Put my listening ears on. All right, let's see. I could talk like this all day long. Are you a great football coach? 45 green. Hut. Look at Angela's face, though, you guys. Look. She's working herself up in her mind. Look at this face. Look. Oh my gosh.
Compare us. No. Answer question. How many voting members in the United States House of Representatives, Republican, Democrat, and Independent? How many total?
How many total are there? What is it? 600 some?
No, it's 435.
Plus 100 in the Senate, right?
100,
Yeah.
100, yes, I said House of Representatives. Okay. 100 in the Senate. Of those 435 in the House, of the 100 in the Senate, how many, just a moment, I'm not trying to put you on the defense. I'm just saying this because the Hill is my passion. That's where I grew up as a professional, right? How many of them are Green Party members?
Okay, I know where you're going with this.
I'm not going
You're
anywhere.
attempting to show that the Greens are powerless. I want to make the point.
I was not trying to show you're powerless.
Well, this is usually part of that argument.
What was the point you were trying to make? What was the point?
I'm going
Before you rebuttal, Dr. Stein, what was the point?
I want to know how many voting members of the Green Party in the House of the Senate currently exist.
Currently, there are none. However, if you look at the American people, how many are voting against the genocide? Hardly any. How many are voting for healthcare as a human right, which would actually save us $500 billion a year? We, the people, are not represented. So not being there is not a strike against the Green Party.
Okay, and that's fine. How many of them right now, based on, and I called it a wish list, it wasn't to be offensive, is I have a wish list too. I got one in the ideal man I want to.
Dismissive the
What I'm saying is, it's not dismissive. Hear my heart. right?
I
heard your heart on the mispronouncing of Kamala. Hear my heart.
All right.
Because there are none that currently exist, that means you got to have allies.
Oh,
Who are
absolutely.
your allies
Yes,
in the House and Senate
excellent
to help?
question.
See,
Excellent
if y'all would have
Yes.
just slowed down a minute, y'all had guns blazing.
I told you it was a healthy conversation.
Right?
You're
Like,
not
come
trying
on. We got to do basic
Child,
math.
please, let me finish. You weren't talking to me when you said that.
But how many, who are the allies? Can you name some of your allies in the House and the Senate that would help to get this very aggressive agenda done?
So let me tell you how the agenda would get done.
Yes.
For one thing, we
Can you
need
name
Let
some of your
her
allies?
answer the
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, question. I want my
Sure.
question.
And it will be.
Names.
Yes.
We talked about this.
So what I want to speak to specifically is town hall meetings, which used to require representatives to meet their districts. They don't do that anymore. They meet with their donors.
I do remember
they're
town hall
meeting with their
meetings.
donors.
I remember
They're meeting with
those.
their donors like 90% of their waking time. They're hardly ever going to town hall meetings. I mean, we've been out there on the campaign trail, and when we mention this, we get nods all around the room, especially from the opponents of genocide, or from those who are demanding health care as a human right, or from those who want rent control across the country so that we can actually have secure housing in this country. There are so many things that the American people are demanding, but our elected officials are accountable to their donors. So you have got a catch-22 here. You have a very difficult system to change. How do you change it? And it only changes in a crisis. When did the third party come along? That is, it was the Republican Party, which was the abolitionist party.
Yeah, that's how you spell it.
Basically right before the Civil War, and they had been preparing for it, running, and before the Republicans, there were other abolitionist parties. But it's a long road to get there, and you have to work to get there. And then suddenly they burst on the scene when the time was right. And right now we know that the American people are clamoring for other options. The other options, like namely us, we are the major option on the ballot across the country. We are being denied airtime. We're being censored. We're being silenced. We're being canceled effectively, very much by an explicit plan through the Democratic Party, which they've actually been explicit about.
I understand that, and you've repeated that today, Dr. Stein. What I'm trying to say is, with the very aggressive agenda you have, I said to you all, I agree with a lot of what you have there. What I'm talking about is, as a political strategist,
let me tell you, on day one,
who are your?
Let me tell you, on day one,
your allies.
on day one, we stopped the genocide. Okay,
there's a lot. Allies.
So there's a lot that
I'm trying, but I can't get an answer
well,
to my
probably
question.
know. Your question, however, denies the power that the president has as the executive. The president has a fair amount of executive authority to actually begin the process. So that process begins with stopping the genocide on day one, which happens with a phone call. It's happened before. This absolutely will happen, especially if we invoke the weapons embargo.
So would you say that you don't need allies?
On issues you have executive authority, what you need are allies among the people, but you don't need the votes in Congress for much of this agenda to declare a climate emergency, which we have. The Colorado River is about to shut down. We got people dying from heat, from inadequate food supply. People can't afford their food. Yet the major source of food in the U.S. Is in deep trouble right now. The Colorado River is within 1 to 2 years of shutting down. That supplies the California agriculture system. It's drought. It cannot get into the system. It can no longer get through the outlets coming out of Lake Mead, which is where you have this big reservoir. It's almost too low to make it into the irrigation system to reach many states, but especially California agriculture, which supplies half of the fruits and vegetables for the U.S. So you think food prices are bad right now, just wait a year or two. They're going to be in real trouble. So we would declare a climate emergency, which there absolutely is right now. We just had over 100 days of over 100-degree weather in Phoenix. We got weather conditions that have never happened before. We're in serious jeopardy, not to mention the storms and drought and the troubles for farmers and all that. So we declare the climate emergency, and that immediately triggers the release of over half.
Oh, is that what it means? I didn't know that.
In emergency funding to begin creating that Green New Deal. That is an emergency jobs program So no worker is left behind.
So you tell me the president could do that right now?
Yes, he could do that right now. That could happen right now. And if I could just add something that our brilliant and talented campaign manager, Jason Call, who happens to be in the room with us, I don't know if the cameras want to pan to him. So when we were having this conversation last night, after a similarly robust conversation with
love a robust conversation.
We made the point, and Jason was the one that brought this into the conversation, that if we do land that knockout punch, that Muhammad Ali versus Sonny Liston knockout punch, and we manage to get 34% of the electoral college votes in this country, right? And we go from the 5%.
It's 34% of the vote. The actual votes, which would then translate into a majority
in the electoral college. Thank you for correcting the historian, because we've got a brilliant policy mind here, and I'm still new to this, and happy to be corrected by both family, and new family.
And
yes, exactly. So the point is that if we move from that 5%, that we feel is basically assured at this point in time, that will lead to 10 million in federal funding to run the next election, so we're not chasing behind. If we have moved to the point where Jill is able to make that phone call, that we move from that 5% to that 34%, that will have mean that there is a profound mandate that comes from the American people with that office. That means that yes, you might have these intransigent, entrenched positions on both teams blue and team red, but what it will mean is that they will have to respond in a different way to Team Green if we have that kind of popular mandate. And that's why we're trying to take the case to the American people. We might fall short in making that case. They may never show us their chance where we get to throw that knockout punch. But in the meantime, we are able to consolidate power that can be utilized in the next electoral cycle and in subsequent electoral cycles to give the American people a genuine choice rather than just the two gangbangers.
So when you talk about a threat to democracy, like Donald Trump is, right? We can all agree.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
What if, because of y'all, he ended up winning, and then there is no more democracy? We ought to even have a chance to be a threat in the future.
Yeah. So
it's a good question.
So yes, I mean, Trump is out front, in interfering with the peaceful transfer of power. So a real threat to democracy. The Democrats on their end don't get a lot of, they're not held accountable for this, but they are throwing their competitors off the ballot in advance of the election.
Did they really hire a bunch of lawyers?
Yes, we can send you the articles if you like in the Washington Post and the New York Times.
Oh yeah, I read them.
They're bragging, actually. They're bragging not only about the consequences, but even when their plan was launched back in March, they are bragging that they have hired an army of lawyers basically to find faults in our petitions, in our electoral process of getting on the ballot. So we have screenshots of their ads, which they have since taken down, but they actually have ads advertising for people to manage infiltrators and spies into our campaigns. And then they actually did hijack $300,000 in our public funding, which we critically needed for the timing of ballot access. And that's why, for example, we missed Oklahoma, because we didn't have the cash on hand to be able to pay the fee, which is what Oklahoma requires. So yeah, they are pulling out all the stops, and then they have, I'm sure AOC was being an attack dog there, because she was put up to some ridiculous story which really did not hold water, and I think was really quite embarrassing to her at the end of the day. Before her, it was Janie Harrison, the head of the DNC, who was trying to smear me about being a Russian agent. Well, that was long put to rest by the Senate Intelligence Committee, which looked into that smear campaign for 3 years. Actually, I had a detailed investigation by the Senate Intelligence.
Where that came from, Dr. Stein, given the fact that you were sitting at the head table with Vladimir Putin next to Michael Flynn, who was literally
not next to Michael.
Yes.
Not
at
next
the
to.
same table with National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who was found to have interfered with Russia in the 2016 election. In just months
do you know what my message was?
Your election.
Do you know what my message was?
What I understand from what you've said is that you weren't able to give that message because there was no one to translate.
Well, actually, but I was a major speaker at the conference. What you saw was a photo from the dinner afterwards.
Were you at the head table with Vladimir Putin, Dr.
Vladimir Putin came in and sat down for 10 minutes without translators. Yeah, well, not with me. On the other.
Okay, so we're going to have to pause it here because I have questions. Didn't Kamala Harris go and talk to Putin also? Hasn't even at this point Dennis Rodman, he went and talked to Kim Jong-un, didn't he? There have been many times that people go and try to talk to dictators and get them to see a different side. So I'm not sure why this is a big deal. As an American, I'm not concerned on whether or not, as an American citizen, this woman tried to engage a conversation with somebody in Russia over ideals on trying to enact peace as just a regular person. I think that's really courageous, actually. Actually, I think that's like above and beyond as an American citizen to even have the nerve and chutzpah and courage to go and try to have that conversation and get in the room and be able to sit at a table to present ideals of peace and moving forward without war as just humans on this planet. Like, I think that's brilliant, actually. I think that should be praised. But for some reason, I'm hearing it being weaponized because there's a lot of attitude coming from Miss Angela Rye. She has a lot of energy right now to me. Like, well, why you sit with him? Were you sitting at a table with this person that did this, that, and the other? Squeeze me. Kamala just got endorsed by Dick. I'll shoot my best friend in his face with a shotgun, Cheney. And you want to know who she's been to dinner with? But Kamala's been there too. You guys, I didn't know it was going to go all the way. You guys. So I'm just not sure what this line of anger is all about. Some more, I know more than you do because my laptop is open. That's what Angela's giving me right now. I know more than you do because my laptop's open. So now what? Now what? There's 435. There's 435. Well, how many people does it take to have that Kamala locked up and kept locked up to fight fires in California instead of release them on time? Does it take before you get to the center of your Tootsie Pop? I'm not sure. All it would take is like 1 or 2 or 3, but there turns out to be like hundreds and hundreds of people whose lives have been affected adversely by Kamala Harris. But you want to know some other bullshit. Okay, let's listen some more. I'm not biased. Yes, I am. I think I might be a little biased. I'm biased to bullshit. That's what is happening.
Decide the only person I could actually talk to, because there was so much noise and music and entertainment going on, the only person I could get a word in edgewise to was the former foreign minister for Germany, Willy Wimmer, who was sitting on my right. On my left, and my speech, made 3 points. My speech made 3 points. One is that we needed an immediate peace offensive in the Middle East, and that Vladimir Putin needed to stop bombing Syria, which he had just begun doing. I told him that he was following in the footsteps of U.S. foreign policy, which was a disaster by way of trying to bomb our way to peace in the Middle East. The second point was that we need a global Green New Deal because we have a crisis that impacts all of us. We need to move our money from the military to actually confronting our true, real threat to our survival, the climate. And the third thing being we need to get rid of the nuclear weapons. That too is a threat to our survival. And right now that is a law. That is a law of the land. The nuclear weapons ban treaty is now required by the United Nations. The vast majority of the world nations have signed on, but not the nuclear weapons.
To this point, mademoiselle, they need to change this corrupt system fast. And what is the saying? The fish stinks from the head Have you ever heard that? When something's not going good in a business, they're like, well, the fish stinks from the head, meaning that management allows this shit to go on. So that's why it's going on. So basically, management is in on it, or the corporate culture is in on it at that particular company, or in that situation where the leader is the corrupt one. So everybody in that organization is corrupt and stinky. You know what I mean? Because it's allowed at the head and by proxy, the body. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like actually doing a third time's a charm type of movement where you are looking at a third party as a fuck you to the duopoly. Um, Having an option like that is really fantastical in a way. Okay. Uh-oh, look, train. So, but to the point, you need to change the system. Look, if we change the head and we did get out from between the cheeks of the Republicans and the Democrats and we busted out on some serious fun, busting out, we busting out on democracy. Oh, 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 busting out on some serious democracy. Woo! You get from between the cheeks, you see. Get from between the Democrat, get from between the Republican, and you come out with your third party option. Brother Cornel West, I love him. I wish he would have stayed green only because the party that he happens to be part of, I'm not sure if they're doing great with their fight against getting back on ballots where the Democrats are doing the same things to them. But that's a great way to change the corrupt system, is to start with the head that enables the corruptness. We already heard from the two that are the primary options that they will continue their allegiance to what the fuck is happening over there where Palestine needs to be free. Okay? They will continue happening what's happening, and they will continue to allow the premise, we're at the precipice of WW3. It feels like it. I don't like it. You know whose sons they're going to want to go over there and finish that shit up for them? Our sons. Is that fair? That you take my tax dollars and put it over there so I can't even really save nothing right and get my compound together the way I need it to, because gas is the same price as milk. Those gallons are the same. The gallons for that is the same price per gallon. So are you eating, or are you going to get some money to eat today? What's happening? Okay? All of that stuff stinks from the head. And right now, the head is telling us, the current head that's in there, the vice president is one of the heads in there. She's been telling us, oh, I've been sitting in the rooms when this, and this was happening. I've been in the rooms when we were making decisions about this. So she's not a proxy person. It's not a by proxy. She's admitted to us that she's been in the spaces and heard the conversations, meaning her voice was there, and she could have been like, oh, no, we're not dropping another one of those things over there on those poor babies. Oh, no. Every president since Eisenhower, was it, has been saying, oh, there's a right to 2 states over there where the watermelon is. Since then, since 46, you guys, it's 2024. It's about to be 100 years of allegiance to some shit over there that costs our money. And every time we're like, but what about us? We get told, we get that little pinch under the arm in church, and that glare and the mouthing of, don't make me. That's what they're doing to us. So what better way to change the corrupt system than to get an entirely new head? Because if it stinks from the head, then I believe, according to my physics, 1 + 1 equals 5, carry the 15 over the 23 divided by pi to the Immaculate Conception of, yeah, based on my calculations, we might be able to have a fighting chance to then change these systems that are corrupt if you change the corrupt head. How many times have you seen a maniacal sci-fi movie where there's a maniacal genius and they're trying to get the good brain into anybody that'll suffice? So if you get the good brain into the body, then the body will have to do the bidding of that good brain, you guys. You weren't paying attention to Pinky? Pinky and the brain was going to take over all the time. You wasn't paying attention? Let's get back to listening. My listening ears are back on, you guys. Thanks for being here. Smash the buttons. Ring the bell. Share the video. Maybe somebody else needs to hear this.
To Russia, but to the world press, which
This
was
a
gathered
Russian
there.
TV dinner, which American intelligence officials say.
The BBC, China, India, world media, to know that there is another constituent in the U.S. We are not all about being empire, about conducting endless war against black and brown people around the world and ginning up nuclear weapons. And we have, by the way, led the charge in dismantling the nuclear treaties, so that right now we are risking nuclear war on 3 fronts. Did you know that one nuclear armed submarine alone contained the equivalent of 5,000 Hiroshima bombs? Nuclear confrontation is a threat to us all because of the nuclear winter thing. And there's so much which is not being addressed. There's so much which the American people deserve to know, including how much this is costing us.
Can I read you something next time? I was
Sure.
asking.
Great.
It says engaging with foreign assets is a pattern for Dr. Jill Stein. Previously, the Senate Intelligence Committee investigated links between Stein's 2016 campaign and Russia's efforts to interfere in the election, while an indictment brought by Special Counsel Robert Mueller found that the Kremlin's Internet Research Agency had
Exactly,
used social
Jess.
media to promote her candidacy.
And Mademoiselle.
So that has been
more than 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so the Senate Intelligence Committee, they don't mention what the finding of the Senate Intelligence Committee was, which was that there was absolutely no fault on my part whatsoever. The question that was raised there was, did Russian social media have an impact? And was I, a beneficiary of that? And the Senate...
But they said you repeatedly parroted Kremlin views and posted...
Well, you know what they consider a Kremlin view? They consider reparations a Kremlin view. They consider the civil rights movement actually a Kremlin view. They consider racial disparities a Kremlin view. So these are Department of Defense talking points, and these are unfortunately the DNC talking points as well, which repeatedly tries to smear me as a Russian agent, even though it has been yes, and this has been very specifically
let's just be blunt about that.
Found lacking. And the report, get this. The report that was initially used to supposedly show that Russians had a social media campaign supporting me, that was written by a cybersecurity firm called the New Knowledge Corporation. New Knowledge had to disband shortly after publishing that because they were exposed for conducting an interference campaign themselves in the 2017 Senate election in Alabama. And how did they do that? They pretended to be a Russian influence campaign on social media. So they did exactly what they have accused the Russians of doing. They actually did, and put it under the false guise of being a Russian interference campaign. So this is just such
with Vladimir Putin or anybody in the Kremlin, anybody within his team? Have you ever had any?
I have tried to and have never been able to, but that has been my goal, to actually advance each of these 3 absolutely critical issues. And in the words of John F. Kennedy, we must not negotiate out of fear, but we must not fear to negotiate. Look at the Ukraine war, for example, which is an absolute disaster. The war being fought to the last Ukrainian. No one is paying a steeper price in blood than the people of Ukraine right now. This is an absolutely criminal and tragic war, but it was completely avoidable. Even after it began, there were negotiations taking place under the auspices of Turkey, which brought together the various parties, and you had a peace agreement between Russia and between Ukraine. And that peace treaty was disrupted by the U.S. and by the UK, which came in and said, no, you may not make peace here. The U.S. has been invested in this, unfortunately, as part of our plan for the expansion of U.S. influence following the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's a longer story. We don't need to go into it. But this is an absolutely avoidable conflict. You have to be very skeptical of the talking points that we're hearing.
What does the Green Party have planned for America? Well, so I hear a lot of geopolitical issues.
Well, she's her friend for sure.
Between those, like going back to something that you asked about, like Team Red, right, and how we appeal. So just to be clear, right, that part of the appeal to Team Red is to actually focus on America. So one of the things that is a marked difference between the way that the corporate interests that control the Democrats and the corporate interests that control the Republicans are configured is that on the so-called right end of the spectrum, there are a lot more people that are interested in disengagement from whatever wars and want to
bias bullshit
on domestic policy. So I think that is one place where we can absolutely make an appeal. And, the appeal that Jill, sort of framed, and I'll be blunt about this. Like my grandfather, Rudolph Ware Sr., he never, I go by Butch, actually Rudolph Ware III. My grandfather from Georgia, father grew up in D.C. My son is also Rudolph. So we got four of them. But Rudolph Sr. never would have voted for Democrats because he didn't like that culture of dependency, going with your hand out and somebody that did things for himself. So the idea of saying we can cut you billionaires, pay their fair share, and we'll stop taking money out of your pocket and handing it Raytheon by laundering it through genocides, right? That we feel that is something that will appeal to people, not just on the right, but like people that are not thinking about voting at all. That this is actually a really, really crucial point. And it is one place where Team Blue is absolutely speeding us towards World War III more rapidly than Team Red is. Okay.
Yes, we have to embrace it.
Towards a kind of societal collapse,
we have to,
right? And
fascism.
Exactly. Right. No. But the thing is that the truth of the matter is that imperialism and fascism are two sides of the same coin. One is the side that faces outwards, and the other is the side that faces inward. And I made a social media post before I got brought onto the team that said it this way: is that whether you vote Team Red or Team Blue, militarized fascism wins. Because the APAC and the weapons manufacturers are patrons of both networks. And just to return to that point, right? I've been on campuses. I organized a Palestinian
busting out
on October 21st. I organized a Black and Palestinian solidarity panel at my local mosque on October 11th, 4 days after. Like, your brother was not backing down. And the Zionists came for my job within the month, okay? And, a Negro is still standing. So, but the point of all that is just to say that when we
that's disgusting.
This campaign to try to actually bring people into the conversation, you see that
we should not be dragged into that at all.
People do not want this forever war, and they do not want militarized fascists coming to their campuses to crack kids' heads open. I had to stand out in front of the encampment, and that's Democratic governor in California. That's Democrat, mayors in places like New York City. It's Democrats that are running cop cities. So the thing is, bro, fascism is already here. It's just that one of it is like fascism.
No, I haven't seen her.
Fascism. But the truth is that the purple fascists, the purple imperialist Team Red.
Is she on YouTube? I'll check her out.
Funders, and who funds you runs you. So there's a discourse about putting off fascism. But the reality is that fascism is already here because we already can't speak freely. We already have people, university presidents, losing their job under democratic regimes. We already have kids that are lining up for peaceful protests, having their heads knocked open, or you have the cops standing to the side at UCLA so that us can knock kids' heads open. So I'm sorry, the fear-mongering ain't gonna work on me.
The only thing that I would say to you is I think it's very dangerous rhetoric to say there are two sides of the same coin. I do think it's important for us to
dangerous
understand.
To the Democrats, yes.
I think it's dangerous to all of us, actually. I don't have that privilege.
We disagree.
I understand. We do on a lot. We also agree on a lot. But here's one thing I think we can agree on. Either you win or lose this election. There's really no in between. Dr. Stein, in 2002, you ran for governor of Massachusetts and you lost. In 2004, you ran for state representative in Massachusetts and you lost. In 2006, you ran for time against the first Black governor in Massachusetts, Deval Patrick. You lost. In 2012, you ran against this country's first Black president, and you got just less than 0.5% of total votes cast. In 2016, you ran against Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. losing significantly with 1.4 million votes cast for you, but 0 electoral college votes, which I agree with y'all needs to be abolished. But 136 million people voted, and you lost that election as well. So I want to know what the pathway to victory is for you in 2024. It can't just
Now,
be.
I'd like to provide a different frame. I want to provide.
And I also,
can I respond?
And let's add right here. One thing my grandmother loved about me, and she said it often, was, I love your tenaciousness. You have so much tenacity. You keep that. That means you just keep going until you get it. You know, if you really believe in it, then you go until you get it. You do not change it. You don't backslide and moonwalk on fracking just because you weren't getting anywhere with a no fracking policy. You don't backwalk and moonwalk on a freaking union workers raise and then undo it because you weren't getting traction standing alone. You don't do that. No, what you do is you keep pushing forward and forward and forward and screaming from the mountaintops what your ideals are and why they're important to the people. And someone will hear the call. And every time you are in an election cycle, more and more people are hearing the call. So to all the people that say, I told you guys how I got blocked by Preston Mitchum on Summer House Martha's Vineyard edition. And he said, oh, it looks like you go for people who are only pop out every 4 years. And I said, I said, isn't that the point? Like, don't people run like every 4 years? How is that being an opportunist? That's called a candidate, motherfucker. Like, I'm like, really, bro? Like, you're just going to rewrite words like the way people add anti-Semitism definitions daily? Like, you're just going to just do that to me? Like, really? How is it being an opportunist by constantly taking the opportunity to offer a different opinion than the duopoly, which nobody's gotten anywhere? Because name a city in any state USA and you're paying the same price for gas as you are for a gallon of milk. You are. But she's the opportunist. I think the opportunist is the person who's currently sitting in a White House in every meeting about everything, per her telling it. But things aren't going to change until we elect her again. That doesn't feel like somebody just did you wrong without your consent. That doesn't feel a little, you're not triggered by that? That doesn't sound like the whole I asked it in for, sir. That does not sound like the whole I agree to. That you're there now while the gas gallon and the milk gallon are the same price. You're there now, but nothing's going to get better until we vote for you again. That does not feel like the whole I agree to. And I believe you were supposed to have a prophylactic on. This does not feel consensual at this point. I'm not sure how that's making sense to everybody else who's arguing on behalf of her name. Really? Continue. My listening ears are back on. That was just a random thought. Me and thoughts.
Go ahead. Well, I would like to respond. This is the framing of the empire and the oligarchy and white supremacy and colonialism, which wants you to feel that resistance is futile. This is about voter blaming and voter shaming.
Let me just no. What you're not going to say is that I'm ever parodying anything. at the hands of white supremacy. This is something that's very different. This is me asking you again. It's a binary
well, I'm
choice
just
in an
pointing
election.
out that these are the talking points.
No,
These are the same talking points that the
I didn't get my talking.
uses.
This is not DNC talking points. This is my research, and sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election. You have been successful in pushing forward certain agendas as an advocate, but you have never won an election.
We are the one party. So, in order to win, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. In this case, it's many steps. Let me point out, please. You need to compare the Green Party not with those who are taking money from AIPAC and Wall Street. You've got to compare us. Excuse me. You have to compare us to other grassroots, non-corporate. We need.
She said I was picking the talking points of the white supremacy. That was my disappointment.
May I finish? May I get to my point? May I please get to my point? Let me finish.
Did you guys hear that craziness just there? Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? And somehow Butch Ware is supposed to not support his running mate because she called Angela Rye on her white supremacist talking points, which they are, telling Black people you only have two choices that both abuse you, is some white supremacist shit. And neither of you are going to give you reparations ever. They're never going to do anything for you, have proven they're not going to do anything for you. But these are your only two choices, and you better shut up and vote for one of them. That's abusive white supremacist ideology. Telling me what the fuck I'm going to do with my Black ass. And by proxy, the talking points that Angela Rye thought she had, which only further validated the validity of Jill Stein's platform. I feel like, this is high-key aggressive behavior. And I don't like the stereotype of an aggressive Black woman any more than the next Black woman, but you shouldn't be an aggressive Black woman if you don't want to be called one. That's all I'm saying. This is high-key aggressive behavior and simultaneously trying to throw a little Giselle in there and be a little victim in there too at the same time. The villain victim thing. Full-on villain. How many members? You haven't won. Now I'm a white supremacist. I'm a victim. Oh no, now I'm a white supremacist. How dare you say that I say white supremacy things? I am so not white supremacy. Even though it sounds just like some shit they gave me to say. I am reading from my laptop, everything. Listening ears larger. We're almost done, Curvies. Thanks for hanging out.
To the Democratic Party and the Republican Party with their billions of dollars, or to the Working Families Party, which is not under attack.
Yes.
As a people-powered party, not taking money from Wall Street or the War Machine or AIPAC. We are on very different turf. But if you compare us to all other similar parties, which are not taking corporate money, which are not bought and paid for, which can stand up against endless war, against homelessness, against the climate crisis, against the housing and the healthcare crisis. Campaigns like us, who can actually stand up for the people, they last exactly 1 to 2 election cycles, and then they're gone. So we are actually the pillar of strength among people-powered politics. And what have we done over that period? We have established the Green Party as the vehicle for people-powered politics. We have also launched the agenda, which has been adopted by the progressive Democrats, given lip service, not actually advanced. But whether you're looking at healthcare as a human right, launched by Ralph Nader as a national issue, reparations, launched by our campaign as a national issue in 2012. If you look at free public higher education, bailing out students and ending student debt. You had Congress bailing out the crooks on Wall Street who crashed the economy, but not bailing out homeowners, not bailing out students. That agenda was launched by us. So I think it's not fair, and it is the talking point of AOC the other day, who is taking her marching orders from the DNC. This is exactly what they say, that we are only running for president.
Color as parroting talking points instead of us looking at basic math. The one thing that AOC has done that you haven't is win some elections. And so when I'm asking you if you won any elections, that is one point. If you want to tell me that you want to push a more progressive agenda, if you want to talk about
1,500
progressive agenda, you can do.
Excuse me, but are we here to talk about what Jill Stein wants to talk about or what Angela Rye wants to talk about? Is my question. Did they invite Jill Stein to interview Angela or vice versa? Because this is sounding a lot like me. And there is no I in teen, ma'am. This is not supposed to be the Angela Rye get to know me what I think hour. This is not supposed to be about that. This is supposed to be about getting to know these two options for president and vice president of the United States of America. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, is anybody else feeling how like obsessed and narcissistic she's coming off right now? Like, high key aggro alert. My listening ears are back on though. Is it gonna play? My listening ears. I don't know. Oh, let's see.
That not by running necessarily for
As
president.
Frederick Douglass says,
woefully lacking.
I hear
so
this,
I'm asking that you consider going about it a different way instead of telling me I'm parroting white supremacist talking points.
So I can tell
you hear the facts.
These are the facts.
The numbers are not on your side, right?
Dr. Jill Stein, let's
absolutely.
Remarks.
Yes.
On your campaign, and then the Honorable Angela Wright, you can end with your remarks.
I've asked my question.
Okay, so as Frederick Douglass said, power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. Like so many other Greens, I came from the world of social activism. I spent decades upon decades fighting for healthcare as a human right, for racially just redistricting, which we actually succeeded in, for getting big money out of politics, and creating a public financing system, which we actually succeeded in Massachusetts until the Democratic legislature came in and invalidated the people's referendum, which had won by a 2-to-1 margin. They invalidated it on a voice vote and refused to provide the funding for it. I saw our movements being beaten back by the power, the political power of corporations and billionaires operating through the Democratic and Republican parties. I saw that over and over again. We are not making incremental progress forward. We're actually taking rather major steps backwards right now. The disparities, racial disparities, black and white disparities, are actually not better at all than they were in 1960, in spite of all the hard work and the lip service that's been given to racial justice and racial equality. In Boston, in the Massachusetts area, the average household wealth of the African American family is $8, considering debt. The average wealth of the Caucasian family is $250,000. And this is not unusual. This is where we are. We are stuck. If you looked at the footage from the floor of the DNC, what you could see were the corporate suites, which started at $500,000 each and went up to $5 million. This is the money running the DNC, running the Republican National Committee as well. These parties have been bought and paid for. They really do not have wiggle room. We're not going to fix this around the margins. We need to stand up and build a coalition. This was my experience as an organizer, a successful organizer on these many issues that I just ran through. How would we do that? You do it by building coalitions. But if your coalitions are only there for the moment, you can get the bill passed like we did with public funding of elections, but they're going to tear it down. Then you need your coalition to remain in power and to remain effective so that you're fighting to maintain your victories. So what I see us having done since I first was tricked into running for office in 2000, running for governor, I was tricked into running for office because I saw we were failing over and over and over again on our aspirations for racial justice, to fight white supremacy, to fight police violence, which also is getting worse year by year, to fight for healthcare. The health disparities between African American and white population is about 3 years. 3 years of life taken away from African Americans. And that's before you add in the disparities.
She was a medical doctor,
education.
you guys.
If you factor in education disparities as well, that 3 years grows to 10 years, a decade taken off the lives of most African Americans. To me, this was just unacceptable. I could not sit there and take it over and over again, especially after the Democrats reversed our achievements to get at the core problem, which is the corruption of money in politics. We solved that, and they basically tore that solution to shreds. I could not stand there. That's when I got recruited to run for office, because I began to realize this is about building coalitions. That doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of work. And so I ran in that first race for governor, challenging actually Mitt Romney, who was running for governor on the Republican ticket. And you know what? We had to fight our way to get into a televised debate, but we did succeed because the turnout was huge in the rallies that were demanding to open up the debates. And that debate was opened up on one occasion. And that debate took place in a TV studio. There was no live audience to read. So it was just, speaking to the other people in the room, small number of people, the guy behind the camera and so on. And the Green Party's proposals, which we've run through several times, went over like a lead balloon inside of that TV studio. And I walked out of there thinking, oh, well, at least I tried. But when I walked out, I was mobbed by the press, who told me that I had won the instant online viewer poll, which we didn't even know was going on. And to me, that was like a revelation that, oh my God, people actually agree with us. We don't need to change people's minds. People's minds have been changed by the desperate state of our economy, by the incredible injustices, by the police state that we're living in, etc. Too. So we, at that point, it's like a curtain went up for me, and I saw, oh my God, this is not a matter of having to change people's minds. People are already there. It's just that people are denied knowing that there are options that actually empower us.
What's your website? People want that out.
Thank you. It is JillStein2024.com. And yes, check us out, because this election is full of, what shall we say, 180s and unexpected developments. And we, the people, deserve to be heard. We are demanding to be heard. And we potentially have the power. If only the vote to stop genocide stood up to say, I will not hold my nose and vote for genocide. That vote, or the 87 million people who do not have adequate health care, or the 50% of renters who are struggling, who are just 1 or 2 paychecks away from being evicted and being out in the street. If those people stand up to vote for what we actually can have right now, this election will be turned on its head. And if we don't get to the White House, but we start on the road to the White House, that too is a huge win. So I really encourage people to follow that the Democrats, the Republicans, the oligarchs, the warmongers, they do not want you to hear this. They do not want you to know that we have power. We have the power if we are willing to stand up and demand it. And in the face of a genocide, it is a new coalition is being forged. It's being forged in this era of blood and destruction and world crisis. A new coalition is being formed to stand up for peace and justice. The institutional supports are coming out of the woodwork in a way that we have never seen before. This is my 3rd race. We've never seen anything like it. And the mobilization of the Arab American and the Muslim American communities is a real example of a community that is standing up with the incredible courage of their convictions to say, we deserve better. We deserve an America and a world that works for all of us, that is within our reach if we demand it.
Well, thank you for joining us, ladies.
That's what's up.
Thank you so much.
Great live.
Thank you, Angela Rye.
It wasn't supposed to be a debate at all.
But it was good.
It was
great.
All right.
It was the best kind of debate.
Great.
Yeah.
It's the Breakfast Club. Wake that ass up in the morning.
So you guys, that was the Dr. Jill Stein and Butch Ware interview. And I hope you guys found it enlightening. Once we finally got it up and running, because they was keeping a sister from getting the information out. Must be important information that needs to get out, because they sure did make us take this out twice, you guys. But we got up to this 2 hours and 30 minutes. Why was Angela so combative when this woman was speaking facts? Great point, mademoiselle. Dr. Stein is fighting for Black people in this country and beyond, and Rye Toast is fighting Dr. Stein. I'm telling you. I mean, baffled much? Yeah, very. You know what I'm saying? And then immigrants built the United States all of a sudden. Okay. Yeah, we have to hurry and get another head on this fish because the shit is stinking, and we got to get from the duopoly. The only way to do it is to do it. You can't just keep setting up for it. You got to just take the plunge one day. That's what you have to do. When you're getting in cold water, just get in. When you're getting in hot water, just get in. Just take the plunge. You want to get off the plantation, you got to run fast. You can't keep looking back to see who's coming with us. We can't. And that's Harriet Tubman 101. Yeah, don't look back. That's what's that man's wife in the Bible who turned to salt, turned to the pillar of salt because she looked back. She wasn't supposed to look back. He told her. He said, I know we're leaving everything you know, but don't look back. You're going to hear all kind of stuff, but don't look back. And she looked back and turned to a pillar of salt, and he had to leave her and keep going. You ever heard that story in the Bible, in the Bible? That story about the lady that turned to salt from looking back? That's because you can't save everybody. That's the importance. That was a parable about you got to just go sometimes. You don't have to necessarily bring any of that with you. You just have to go towards where is important, towards safety. Sometimes you just have to go towards safety, which is unknown. You just heard about some stuff over there, and you're hearing screams from back there. It's a Sunday somewhere. We can act like we're in church. 2 or more are gathered in the truth's name. You see what I'm saying? There's church happening right here. Because we got 5 people in here. That's 2 or more gathered in the name of truth. There God is. Okay? Don't look back. Got to look forward. Whoever's not at the west gate of the plantation at midnight and who knows the sound, only told to those who are hopefully not ops and just going to give us up to massa. Okay? Okay? Anyway, y'all know I'm not right. Yes, I am. I'm very right. I'm very right. And you guys are right too. We're not crazy. They crazy. That's why we can't look back. They'll turn us to salt. They want to be right so bad. They want to be right so bad. They'll bring out a laptop and make it about them. I'm like, Angela Rye is not running for president. Why was that so important for her to get those points out? Why not just let the lady who's running for president get all of her points out and then dissect it later? Why was it so important to be combative in that moment? Why? Very interesting format you have going on over there at Breakfast Club Bullies. Very interesting format you have. Do you guys treat everybody like that? I'm asking for somebody who watches your show on a regular basis, which I don't. Because that's not really a great way to keep on having people back, I don't think. Yeah. Amen and amen. Hallelujah. Where 2 or more gathered in the truth's name, there God is. Okay, yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't look back. Lot's wife, was her name Ruth? She looked back. I know it was Lot's wife turned to a pillar of salt. So combative. Why was she like that? That was so unnecessary. So unnecessary. That white lady didn't do nothing but come and say she wanted to give foundational Black Americans reparations, Angela. That's all that white lady came and said. And bro man only came and said he wasn't giving in to the fear tactics anymore. Charlemagne the not God, chair sniffer. You can't do that over here. You're not fair beating me. No, no, no. We got something for everybody. What's the problem? Oh, y'all, and here is the problem. That's what the problem is. The oligarchy, the imperialist oligarchy is the problem. Okay, duopoly, we see you. Duopoly. Let me get off of here. I'm a little hungry. It's 12 o'clock. I guess my intermittent fast is done for the day. I'm going to go get me some. I made a little frittata mix with some, I shredded some, grated some zucchini red with green and yellow zucchinis. I grated them. And I grated some yellow onion. And I scrambled it with a nice little egg. Oh, it's going to be so good. Like a frittata. I love frittatas. I'm going to go over to Native Pod and leave a message for Angela, asking her why all the smoke for Stein, right? Well, if you, we could go over there real quick, but I did go to Angela Rye's Instagram when I was Googling her to see who the fuck she is. And it took me to her Instagram where she had up her clips of interrogating Jill Stein. Like, she's very proud of it. And people in her comments are reading her for filth, eating her up. Okay? Reading her. Wanting to know what's up with all the hostility law. What's good, Angela? Hello? Why so salty, Angela? Hello? Why so salty? Angela? Hello? Yes, go. The people are dragging. And the way she treated Jill Stein only made people go look at Jill Stein to her website and see her wonderful platforms. And I love her play on the P's all the time. They're a people-powered party, and they're here for peace, people, and planet. I love it. I love it. Anyway, you guys, I hope this was fun for you. Make sure you smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and ring my bell so you can get notified next time I upload a video. And share the video, get the word out. I'm not sure what YouTube is tripping on me for today. All your support is always welcome. You can become a member to support. The Cash App is always in the description to support. And, let's keep it rolling over here. I really appreciate our newest curvy justice over here in the Curvies Center. Yes. Thanks for coming through. Enjoy the rest of your day. And remember what I always say, there's enough to go around. So go get some. Okay, you guys. Have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.